home is not a place. Home is not like you think about your apartment or your house or your backyard, your car, your friends. Now, home is more about where we are together. It's more
As a
about,
family.
yeah, where we are sharing our passions and where we are building our life. So it is not a place, it's more about us being together.
Hola, hola. Welcome to the Viva la Mami podcast. I'm your host, Jessica Cuevas. And on today's episode, as part of the Mamis Abroad series, I have a mujer who I happened to find on TikTok, through all of these algorithms right now. I've been very intentional of like searching and finding people, especially mamas who are living abroad with their families. And I think that our special guest is literally the embodiment of what it's like to live abroad with her family. So, on today's episode, we have Lina Molina. She is an engineer, a soccer coach, a Latina mom of three, and the creator of Latina Mom Travels and Latina Mom Coaches, which is so exciting. I'm very thrilled to delve into this conversation. But she documents her journey raising a family abroad while empowering young athletes and inspiring mamas to embrace global living, leadership, and purpose. So, Lina, I am so glad and thrilled for you to be here. Really, I'm so excited just because you have a very unique background and just like unique content that you can share with our audience. So, I'm very excited to delve into the conversation.
Thank you for the invite. I'm really excited to be here as well. And thank you for the intro.
Yes, absolutely. Yes, well, Lina, before we delve into our conversation here, can you tell our listeners a little bit more about you, where you grew up, your family, and where you're currently at?
Sure. So I'm Lina. I was born in Bogotá, Colombia. I met my husband there when I was finishing the university. And after that, just after finishing the university, we got married. And he came one day and he told me, like, you know what? I just got an interview with a job possibility in Saudi Arabia. What do you think about that? And I was like, oh, I didn't know a lot of information about Saudi Arabia, so I didn't know what to think about it. At the end, he got the job. Um, so we just decided, let's do it. So our journey started in Saudi Arabia. And after that, we moved to Thailand, where my kids were born. And after that, we moved to Bolivia, and we spent just 1 year. And after Bolivia, we decided to have a sabbatical year. So we divided the year between Colombia and the United States. And right now we are in Abidjan, Cote d'Ivoire, at the West African coast.
Wow, that is awesome. So you and your husband met in Colombia, right?
Yes.
So like he was in university there. And where is he from?
So he was born in Colombia as well, but when
Okay.
he was 2 years old, his family decided to move to the United States because of the political situation at the time. Oh, so all his family moved to the United States, and he did his whole studies, school, university, and when he finished school, he decided that he wanted to go to Colombia and to check it by himself. He wanted to know his roots and what was like all his extended family. So yeah.
Wow, that's powerful, especially for, someone who left their homeland for different opportunities and out of force, really, with, political climate. And now he wanted to just like go back. And that's very powerful because a lot of times people flee countries for various reasons. But if it's because of poverty, politics, I think that oftentimes people tend to not want to return because of the traumas. And so like how I'm curious, like how was that like as far as with knowing someone who left the country with his family and then coming back? And with you, have you stayed in Colombia all your life?
Yeah, I grew up in Colombia. I stayed in Colombia all my childhood, the university. And then when I met him, I didn't know that he was from the United States because his accent is really Colombian. So he has really good accent. Like he has New York accent and Colombian accent. So at the beginning, I didn't know, but knowing about his story is the story of millions of people that they have to go to other countries. Like right now, we're living out like different countries that people have to just go and leave everything behind. So yeah, that was his story. He left, or his family left everything in Colombia and created a life in the United States. But he felt that he needed to go back and be with his extended family and really understand his people and just live a life. So yeah, he decided that he went to Colombia, he felt in love, he found a job, and that's the point where we met.
Wow, that's great. And now you have a family
Yeah.
and you're obviously living abroad. And so, you know, with you having a family abroad, también, I think that that is powerful in itself that you hold all of these identities. Can you take us back to the beginning? Like, what was the moment or turning point that led your family to go to different countries? Like, you know, it seems like you've been to a lot of countries, right? Obviously, you've shared that. So, how has it been? You know, now having a family living in different countries and different cultures, especially coming from, you know, Latin America.
Yeah, so at the beginning, when we started our journey and we decided to move to Saudi Arabia, it was a really big difference. And I didn't know what to expect. And when we got there, it was really difficult because when you are raised up in Latin America, you are surrounded with just Spanish speaking people.
Yeah.
My husband, that was not his case because he was raised in Queens, New York. So it is really diverse. But for me, it was such a cultural shock. And so I have to say that the first months were really difficult. But then as soon as I found the Latino community in Saudi Arabia, it got very easy for me. And I had the opportunity to work at the university, so I also connected with the Saudi community. But then after you get your routine, your community, and you decide that you want to move to another country, so that's one of the things that many people don't talk about when you are changing countries, is that you have to start from zero. All your routines, all the people that you know. So then I was pregnant and all my three kids they were born in Thailand, and it was such a difficult time by yourself without your parents, without that support. That is difficult, but then also it brings such beautiful people to your life, so many beautiful friends that you meet along the way. So I have met awesome people in all the countries that I have been to. But in Thailand, it was really special because all my kids were born there. So I think Thailand is like a really special place for us. And but then when we decided to move away from Thailand because we were really far from our family, and we said like, yeah, maybe let's go back to the Americas, and we landed in Bolivia. It was also difficult to go back to a culture that is similar to yours because yes, Bolivia is similar to Colombia, but we got really used to the Asian lifestyle. It was really relaxed. Yeah, people were really friendly, and so it was also difficult at the beginning. So I would say that to every country that we have been to, we have to accommodate and we have to be flexible and adaptable to what the culture is about. And so, talking about what you said about the identity, I think my identity is based on all these experiences and stories that I have been through. And my identity is not like fitted to just one. It has changed and it's still changing. And because that's what life abroad gives you. You have to be really flexible and resilient and just, yeah, go
Yes.
with the flow.
I love it. And I love that this is essentially a message for, anyone listening or watching, right? That oftentimes we believe that traveling or moving abroad is kind of like a luxury, ¿verdad? Like a privilege of like choosing wherever you want to go. Pero no, it takes a lot of mindset, a lot of preparation, a lot of like inner self work, right? About like the reasons behind why. And I know that for many of us, our families made the choice to leave countries because out of necessity, because out of fear, out of, just force, really. And for us who made the choice of leaving for various reasons, whether if it's connecting to a different culture or reconnecting to the culture or, just having a different life and experience, like, because we have that privilege of making those decisions, we have to take a couple steps back and really reflect on, why is it that we're moving? How can I, bring this part of my identity into a new country, but accepting the fact that I'm going to a whole different country where it can change me. And yeah, and I love that you mentioned that because that is essentially a part of your identity, that it's this multifaceted identity that you hold in addition to being a mom, in addition to being an engineer, in addition to being a Colombiana, right? Like there's all of these multifaceted aspects of who we are that can mold us into something different because of our environment and the people that we meet. And so I love that. And I think that's fascinating.
Thank
For
you. But
sure.
yeah, I'm so glad that you said about the privilege because, yes, we are privileged and we are grateful that we can make a choice. And we have been so lucky to be in different countries and have learned so much from their cultures. But from that privilege decision that we didn't have to live because we had to, like it was an obligation, we just made a decision.
Yeah. And so what made the decision for you to live in Bolivia for a year and then go, you said Colombia and the US, right? Like between that sabbatical
Yeah.
and then go to West Africa. Like what did that look like and how did you make that decision?
So when we were living in Bolivia, we met really good friends. I believe that that is what I really miss the most about Bolivia is my friends. They helped us so much because at the time the political situation in Bolivia was also as well not stable. So they had a coup, they had some strikes, people demanding food, petrol, because yeah, everything was the resources in the country were lacking. So through that year that we were living there, my husband was not receiving the payment because not because the company didn't want to pay him, it's because they couldn't send the payment to the United States. The government shut it down. So they were paying to us in the local money, and that was helpful, but it was not helpful for a long term. We needed to pay our bills also in the United States, and we have other obligations. So it was not sustainable for us. And also, we had a problem with my kids' visas because my kids were born in Thailand. The place of birth it says Thailand, even though they are U.S. citizens and Colombian citizens. The place of birth is Thailand. So the people at the immigration in Bolivia, they wanted a legal document from the Thailand government, but the Thailand government, they don't do that. So immigration in Bolivia wasn't really flexible with us. He told us, no, maybe with the Colombian passport we can do it, but it wasn't working. So we were not receiving the payment, and we couldn't travel outside to visit my family. That at the end, we wanted to move from Thailand to Bolivia to be closer to our family, but we couldn't travel. So we were stuck in the country, and even though we had such a good friends and we had a really good life there, we decided that it was not sustainable for us. Um, so meanwhile, my husband was interviewing for another job. We decided to go to Colombia. So while we were in Colombia, he was interviewing at many different places and possible countries that we can go to. So yeah, we stayed in Colombia for around 9 months, and the rest of the time was in the United States visiting his family.
And then I'm assuming that he found his job where you're at, or
Yes,
okay.
yes. Yeah, so when we were in Colombia, he found a job here in Abidjan. So that's why we decided to go first and visit his family in the United States, and because there's a direct flight from New York to Abidjan. And so it
Oh,
was perfect for us to go and visit his family and then come and relocate here.
yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Wow. So how has that transition been? Moving, to a different continent. I mean, obviously you've been to Asian countries y todo, pero I mean, in Africa, right? Like you never think about Latinos living in like different parts of the world, but obviously like in Africa, like you're honestly the first one that I know. So tell us more about that, like your transition in life there.
Yeah, I think to every country that we have been to, I try to find my Latino community. That's my like, and that's would be my advice to people watching right now, that if you're moving to a country that you don't know about, just try to find people like you and that speak your
Yeah.
language at least. So that's what I did
Yes.
in Saudi Arabia. So I would be so excited speaking Spanish. I'm like, yeah, finally, because my Arabic wasn't good. In Thailand, the same, but it was a little bit easier because everyone in Thailand would speak English. Um, and then in Bolivia, um, it was Latino people already. So it was easy for
Right.
me, not for the kids because they were born in Asia. So for them was a little bit difficult. But right now here in Africa, I have to say that it is a roller coaster because Africa is also our roots. Like Latin America is a blend of Europe, Africa, and indigenous people. So we have a little bit of all. So when I first came here, I realized how similar we are. The way the people dress, the way the people eat, like the recipes. A lot of the recipes from here I see at Colombia, at the coast of Colombia. And
Yeah.
so that part was easy, but I was feeling at home.
Yeah.
But then the French, I'm still learning
Yes.
French.
Okay.
And it is not easy. Here, nobody speaks English. So you really have to learn the language. And
Yeah.
so I have to deal with the internet. I have to go to the company and talk about the internet because it's not working, or go and pay the bills, or the police that they love to stop me because of any reason. And like, s'il vous plaît. um, so like I believe that the challenge right now is the language, but I'm studying, and I'm getting better.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, and Spanish and French are similar, right? You know, they have similar roots, so I'm sure that you'll catch up on it fairly easily or faster, right, than someone who doesn't come from a romantic language. So eso es el beneficio ahí.
Yeah, I have an advantage, and sometimes I feel bad, like I should be better because it's really similar, but yeah, I don't. I have to
Yeah.
be patient.
Yeah. And how long have you been living where you're at?
We moved in July from last year, so it has been 7 months.
7 months. Yeah, yeah. Similar to us in Mexico. So yeah, from Chicago. But obviously, I mean, completely different. You know, this is where our family comes from. ¿Verdad? My parents are like an hour away from here. So,
That's great.
so yeah, it's very different. Yeah. So with like you living internationally means that your kids are constantly, navigating different cultures and languages y toda la cosa. So how are you intentionally keeping your Latinidad alive at home? Can you talk about, just like rituals that you do on a almost daily basis, right, to maintain your cultura alive while also integrating with a different culture? I'm kind of curious about that.
Yeah, I think the most important part is the
Integrating
language.
with.
So we speak to our kids in Spanish.
Wow,
And so
nice.
they are fluent. They speak Spanish and English. And right now they are like me, learning French. So all of us, we are practicing at home as well. So I believe that is the most important part, the language, because if my kids don't speak the language, they cannot talk to my extended family, not even to the grandparents. My parents, they don't speak English. So they really need to speak Spanish. So that would be like the first thing. And also we have like some special uh, celebrations, may I say, in Colombia, um, that we like to celebrate with the kids as well. So the way how we celebrate Christmas in Colombia, we celebrate Christmas at a big party the 24th, so it's not the 25th. So we try to do both.
Yeah.
So it is a mix of
Yes.
United States and Colombia. So we have the big party on the 24th, and then we wake up the next day to open the gifts. Also, another special day that we like to celebrate is the Dia de las Velitas. That is in December 7th that we celebrate in Colombia when all the family get together and we light some candles. And it's mostly to get together. So I try to tell them a lot of stories of where we come from. It's really important for me for them to understand where we come from in order for them to embrace that global mind that they have. So it's important for them first to understand where we are from.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, I love it. And with them being integrated with all of these cultures, like, I guess, how do they maintain this identity as Latinos, like outside of home? Did you yourself find a community of like Latinos where you're at, or has it been challenging?
Where my husband is working right now, we have a person from Argentina, a family from she's from Costa Rica. Um, I found some Colombians.
Oh,
Um,
nice.
who else? Yeah, people from Ecuador I have seen here, from Mexico. So yeah, I have found some people, and normally they get together for salsa classes.
Fun.
Yeah.
Oh, qué divertido. Yeah, no, that's cool. Yeah. And, and if they have families, right, this is when you can, you know, bring the families together and the kids would have their own kind of community, right, within this aspect of identity and culture. Pero yeah, I think that's wonderful that you're raising them trilingual, really, and for them to understand the beauty of La Cultura, but also for them to appreciate the culture where they're currently at. And so I think for us as like parents, how, and you specifically, like how has you living abroad really reshaped or deepened your sense of being a Latina mom, raising your kids in a different country?
Uh, that's a really good question. I think my identity has no longer fit one word.
Mm.
So I have to say that I have to be more intentional on the way that I'm raising my kids, and in the way that I want to embrace all these Latino values about friendliness, respecting the elders, and respecting the culture where we are at, and also the warmth. Like we hugged a lot, and that's how we are. And I really want my kids to learn that the world is big, and we have to respect the different perspectives, but It's not a place to fear. We just need to um, go outside of our comfort zone and get a chance to really know people. So my identity has changed, and as a Latina, I really want them to believe that our warmth and friendliness from the Latino people can be translated into the cultures that we're living right now.
Yeah, yeah. I feel like there's a lot of responsibility, right? And I think motherhood in itself is a huge
Yeah.
responsibility, but I think that people don't think as much about when a family moves outside of like their home country, right? Like how much work you have to do, right, to maintain the culture, the language, y toda la cosa, that connection, but also understanding that you're going in a different place where it can be a little different, right? And respecting that too. And yeah, that's a lot of work. And thank you for sharing that perspective. Porque muchas las veces like we don't think about that. And I think about my family who immigrated from Mexico to the United States, like, you know, even though it's a neighboring country, it was still a different culture. It was still a different language. And the fact that my parents had to adapt, and luckily they didn't assimilate, right? Like we Spanish was the first language at home. And you know, I still have kept a lot of like the cultural essence of Mexico, but it must be very hard to kind of being in two or three or four or five places at once when you have all of these like multifaceted identities in one, and that's a lot of work.
Yeah, now that you talk about home, that is also a question that people would ask me, like, where is home? And I'm like,
Mm.
"Mm, it is a difficult question because now home is not a place. Home is not like you think about your apartment or your house or your backyard, your car, your friends. Now home is more about where we are together. It's more
As a
about,
family.
yeah, where we are sharing our passions and where we are building our life. So it is not a place, it's more about us being together.
I love that. Oh, I love that. I'm so glad that you are redefining really what it's like and meant to have a home. And yeah, and I think my mom has always told me que, you know, it doesn't matter where your house is or what kind of like roof you have under your head. What matters is that you're making it a home. And there's a difference between house or apartment or physical space, right? Versus like the essence of like kind of like what you said, like bringing people together, like your family, where your family is currently at and how you make about it. And that in itself is a home, and I love it. Um, and I think that a lot of times when we have grown up thinking que yeah, when you settle in, right, when you get married and have family, like you have to establish yourself in one place and live there like for many many years for your kids to grow up in this house, you create all of these memories y toda la cosa. But what would you tell to like a mama, right, who has kind of like a curiosity to move abroad, pero she feels like she can't because they've already created memories, or maybe it's going to damage their kids, you know, like what would you say to that, to someone who wants to like break free and just like move past the fear of like moving abroad?
Okay, I would say that the kids are really adaptable. The kids are
Mm-hmm.
really strong. I believe they are better than us. They get really easily used to new environments. They are really good about it. For us, it's a little bit more difficult because we have those connections and you have built that community somewhere else. So at the beginning, of course, everything is gonna be difficult. It's like when you are gonna be learning how to, I don't know, ride a bicycle. It's gonna be difficult at the beginning. You don't know how it's gonna be. So I would say that the first few months are gonna be difficult, and that is normal because you have to relearn so many things that before you didn't have to even think about it. You have to learn where are you gonna buy your groceries. If your kids are gonna be sick, where are you gonna take them? Where do you pay your bills? Can I pay them online, or do I have to go to a place? Um, like so many details, and even I don't know, with the insurance of the car. So every country is different, and some countries are easier than others, and that's the reality. But then I would say that just take that, I don't know, that move. Just have faith, and everything is gonna be okay. I believe that the most important thing is that you are together, and if you are supporting each other during that transition phase, is really important. Just be together and know that it's gonna be difficult, but at the end, it's gonna be worth it. The kids are gonna be having so many stories to tell to the grandparents. Maybe they're gonna learn another language, and that is good for them.
And there's so many benefits to it. I think with your specific case, you're literally raising global citizens. It's not just them being aware and being just like citizens of one country, but they're just exposure to like all of these different cultures. I think that in itself has so many benefits, because then they're going to come up from a place of empathy and understanding of people's, of different people and their actions and their reasons behind why they make such actions and things like that. And I think, at least for like mamas that we come from Latino households, like, even though we have that exposure already of like our Latinidad and just understanding, you know maybe a basic foundation of the motherland. I think oftentimes, if you grew up in the United States, your mindset shifts, right? You're then thinking more in this like US imperialistic, mindset. And I think that, uh, you know, I think we just have to break from that and understanding, while yes, growing up in the United States, at least for me, right, in my example, like, I do appreciate that I was born and raised there. Pero there's something beyond this nation. There's something beyond. There are different countries and cultures that are even more beautiful than the US, and we need to embrace it and understand that. And I love that your kids are just having a whole different childhood, like, and that's amazing.
Yeah, what you said, like the kids growing abroad, they are really more open. I can see the
Yeah.
difference between them and maybe other kids that we meet during our visits in Colombia. The way they talk, they communicate a lot. And so that thing about adaptability and curiosity that gives you the life abroad is really impactful for your kids. And and as you said, the United States is a really beautiful country. It is an easy country. You have everything.
Mm-hmm.
When my kids go, they go crazy at the supermarket. They're like, oh, no, 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 I want to buy this and this and this and this.
The snacks.
It's so many cereals. Oh my God, I want this. And and I love it as well. I'm like, wow, yeah, sure. But then when we go back to the other countries and we don't have that many options, you also get humble. You're like, okay,
Mm.
we can also be happy with this little.
What we have.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you shared that you are a soccer coach, ¿verdad? Yeah. Can you tell us a little bit more about that? Like, what inspired you? Like, have you played soccer, or is it because of your kids? Like, tell us a little bit more about that.
Sure. Yeah. So when I was a kid, I loved to play soccer. But at that time, it was not normal for a girl to play. So I didn't have that many opportunities like to go to an official place and learn how to play. I would just play with my cousins, with my friends at the playground, just not official. But then when I was at the university, I started to play for real. I was at the engineers team. And so I had the chance to travel around Colombia to play between different universities, and that's how it started. When we moved to Saudi Arabia, I was like, I need to exercise, I need to do something, I need to connect with people because, as I told you, it was really difficult at the beginning. You don't have friends, you don't know anyone. So, yeah, I would put me out there. I'm like, hey, this is me, I'm an engineer, I know how to do this and that. And that's how I found a job, just by networking, talking to people. And one of my friends said, like, oh, I remember that you said that you play soccer. I know a place that you can go and play with other girls. I was like, hold on. I didn't know that there was such a thing in Saudi Arabia.
Yeah.
So yeah, I found the place. It was the first female team in Riyadh. That was the city where I was living at the time. My husband couldn't see me playing because it was like a gym, a compound, and that you have to like knock, like, hey, it's me. And they would open, and then inside you could take your abaya, that is the black dress that you have to wear outside of, like during your walking time, and like outside of your house, you have to wear the abaya. So
Sure.
inside that place, I could take it off, and all the girls, we were free to play soccer. So I was playing with
Yeah.
many girls, even some princess, like from the royal family, they were playing their soccer. And that was the first female team in Riyadh. The name is Challenge. Um, and when we moved to Thailand, we created a team with all the expats that were living there. So people from the United States, from Australia, from Canada, even people from Thailand. So we created this team that we would get together every week. And when we decided to move to Bolivia, I found a semi professional team. We would train 2 times per week, and we would have the games every Saturday. So that was like really intense for me because I had already 3 kids, and it's not the same thing when you are 16 and now you're like 30. So it wasn't easy, but it was really fun. And it was helpful for me as well. That is the way I connect with the local community. So I have like two tips for you when you're moving abroad. I try to find my Latino community, and I try to find people that play soccer. So that can be translated to any hobby that you have. So that's how I connect with the local community. And so in Bolivia, I was playing for this team. It was Star Soccer, the name of the team. And then when I went back to Colombia, I realized that the level now in Colombia is really high. So it was really hard for me to go out there and play again. Uh, my level wasn't that good. Like my friends that stayed the whole time in Colombia playing, right now they are professionals and they are really good. So I was just having fun, and it was the time just to catch up with them and know more about them and their lives and all about that. And in the United States, in New York, I would go and play with a team at the Prospect Park in Brooklyn. So that's how I connected with the community there. It was super fun, a lot of interesting people from different backgrounds, and we would get together during Sundays just for a pickup. During my time in Thailand, I would be coaching, but not as a job. I would be just like helping my kids or my neighbors. I would be just teaching them how to play soccer, like nothing really as a job. It was just
Sure.
a side hustle. And also with my family, with my nephews, I would be coaching them and telling them how to play. So during my time in New
Nice.
York before coming to Africa, I got my license through the USA platform, like the Soccer USA platform. I got my license for grassroots.
Oh,
And
nice.
when we got here, at the school that my kids are going to right now, they needed a coach. So right now I'm coaching kids from grade 1 to grade 5 every day
Oh,
on
that's
the
awesome.
afternoons as the after school activity.
That is really cool. And I mean, soccer is like a worldwide sport,
Hmm.
¿verdad? It's so universal.
Yeah.
I think that's amazing that, you get to still continue on with your passion, but yeah, you're like just bringing all of this together, bringing people together. And now that you are coaching at your kids' school, I think that's amazing. I I think that oftentimes when mamas are wanting to move abroad, they have this fear of like letting go their passions or even their jobs and careers, and they're like, well, how am I supposed to find a job, or what am I supposed to do in a different country? And I think with you, you mentioned that you're an engineer, but are you still utilizing it? And also with coaching, like you already brought your skill set and now you have a job, right? So like, I guess with your experience from a professional standpoint, right? And like just like money standpoint,
Hmm.
what are some tips that you can provide to a mama that is kind of hesitant to move abroad just because of this reason?
Yeah, my experience is a little bit privileged because my husband is the one that is mainly providing to our family, and that has given me the flexibility to try to find some jobs that are not like well paid, but maybe that are fulfilling for me. That gives me a reason to wake up every day and to be happy. So every country that we have lived in, Um, for example, in Saudi Arabia, I found the job just through connected with people and telling them what I know what to do. And in Thailand, it was the same thing. I connected with one friend, and then he told me that he was looking for a project manager, and I gave like all my skills and what I can help him, how I can help him, and yeah, he decided to hire me. So I believe that it's just getting that fear, just go and just put you out there. Sometimes it's not trying to apply through a website or through an app, or no, it's just connecting with people. Maybe
Mm-hmm.
you can find something for you. In Bolivia, I was still working for the company that I was working in Thailand, but then I decided to stop working. And then when we got here and I didn't have a job, I said, yeah, why not coaching? I love soccer. It's gonna be really good also for my kids that they're gonna see me. Like
Yeah.
I'm coaching them twice a week.
I love it. And yeah, I think that at the end of the day you can find ways to see how you can live a sustainable life, right? Because at the end of the day, you don't want to struggle. You don't want to end up just like, you know, not being able to pay bills and food and everything, right? And I think it's just like a mindset um, thing that you need to work on to make sure that you allow yourself to find all of these different opportunities. And just like how you said, with connecting with people, networking is a skill that can transcend borders, right? Like you can still continue on
Mhm.
with utilizing those networking opportunities in a different country. And yeah, you never know what the possibilities will look like. But I think it all falls back to, like, again, that inner work, that mentality, that mindset work that one has to do if they are honestly considering moving abroad. And I think that's a really good tip for sure. Yeah. So obviously, your children are living in a different part of the world. And again, that's amazing. So when your children grow up one day, like what is something that they can essentially say about their mom that gave them, these opportunities to move different countries and, have all these adventures with you? What do you think they would say?
Oh my God, I'm always reflecting because, as mothers, we always want the best for our kids and we are always trying to do our best. Um, so I would say that I'm trying to give them many tools and many possibilities. So I have showed them the world. So I know that when the time comes, maybe they don't want to be close to me because I have showed them so many possibilities that now they maybe want to choose. They know what to find out there. So I want them to remember, and I'm always telling them that you always have to be mindful with the things you say, with the words that you say, because the words are powerful and everything that you say might come true and will become true. Your words are really powerful and you believe what you say. So I'm always telling them that the world is so big and has so many people with different perspectives that we have to learn from each other. Because maybe something that is good for me or that I believe is my reality is not the reality for someone else. So we want to hear that story. Maybe we have something to learn from them. So I want them for them maybe to remember that their mom would tell them that the world is big, there's many options, different perspectives that we have to respect, but it's not a it's a place to appreciate, that the world is to appreciate and it's nothing to fear. And that home is not just a country, it's more about all these connections that we build wherever we go.
Wow, that is so powerful. Yeah, I think as moms, we're being intentional with how we want to raise our kids. And, there isn't a right or wrong way, there isn't a manual on how to raise kids. Everyone makes their own decisions. It's essentially a personal thing. Obviously, that is aligned with your partner if you are in a partner relationship, right? But, everyone has the freedom, every parent has the freedom to choose how they want to raise their kids. And I think there's this side of raising kids from a global perspective and raising them in different countries. And I feel like as Latinas, like we don't share a lot about this, like that, you know, this isn't saturated out there in social media and things. And I'm so glad that I found you because you are a living testament of like this. I happen to be Colombiana, but we're living in Africa and this is how I'm doing it. And
Yeah.
I think the possibilities are endless. I think, again, it all falls back to, kind of like your purpose, why you want to move abroad, why you want your kids to, be global citizens. And it all falls back, whether if it's like your values or shared commonalities with your partner and goals and all of that. But I think, I think what you're doing is beautiful. It's very unique, and I'm so glad that you're here to share your story. I have one final question for you, and this is my Viva la Mami questions that I ask all of my guests on the show. How are you redefining madrehood?
Oh, that is hard to answer, but I think that right now uh, we are showing that women we are so powerful, and when we get together, we are even more powerful. So motherhood for me is that blend between the common motherhood that you are used to, just cooking, taking care of your kids, giving love, take care of your family, but also that madre, that madre is like from Latinos, that Latinos, we are resilient, we are hardworking, we're always there, we're always like fighting with energy, even with want to party. Like we have a lot of energy. So if we blend the good things from the Latinos and from the global, motherhood, and we put it together, I think we get such a connection.
You defined it so well. Yes. Well, Lina, where can people follow you and connect with you? Because I think, again, your perspective and experience is very unique, and I want the world to know more about you. So, how can people find you?
Oh, thank you again for all your amazing questions. It was really nice. They can find me on Instagram as Latina Mom Travels. And if you want to follow my coaching journey, you can follow me on Latina Mom Coaches.
So exciting. Yes, I'll make sure to share that in the links in this episode. And that way people can connect with you and really see your story and journey. I think this is amazing. I wish you nothing but the best. And I really hope you can join us again on the show just to see if you end up in a different country, right? Like how was that experience? But I love what you're doing. I love your intentionality in being a mama, you know, raising kids who have this multitude of identities and cultures. So, yeah, you're doing amazing work. So, thank you so much for being on the show, Lina. I really appreciate it.
Thank you so much, Jessica, and Viva la Mami. Thank you.